Okay, let's start. I don't think the others are joining. Can we start?
Yes, sir.
The first part of the problem, can you guys tell me how to do at least? What is there in the question? So you have a portal frame. So basically, this is a beam, this is a column. Okay, this is your beam. Okay, and this is your column. You have two columns on two sides. So today's problem, what we have to do is we have to determine the natural frequency of this portal frame, considering the effect of infill and without the effect of infill. Without the effect of infill, you guys should already know how to solve. Do you guys remember?
Formula K is equal
How do we do it? K is equal to, sorry, 1 second.
omega is equal to 8 K by L,
Yes.
and K is equal to 6 A by L.
Okay. M is mass of the system. We know. Here they have asked us to exclude the mass of columns and walls. So you only have to take the weight that is there due to beam and the additional UDL that is there on top. When it comes to stiffness, we'll have to consider stiffness of two columns.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How do you calculate stiffness of columns?
12 A by L cube.
12 A by L.
Correct. Since both up and bottom are fixed, we'll consider 12 VI by L cube. What is E?
Thanks, formula.
5000 root FCK.
What is your FCK in this case?
9.
9.
Okay. What is I?
No, sir.
There's a lot of disturbance in someone's voice. What is I?
BDQ by 2.
How much is this? So column cross section is given. Assume 230 to act along this direction only. 350 to act along this direction. Thickness is 230 mm because the wall is also 230. Okay, so it will be 230 into 350 cube by 12. Tell me the values for E and I.
Sir, I is 8.21 10 raised to 8, sir.
8.21.
10 power minus 4.
10 power,
Into 10 power 8.
meter power.
10
10
power
in
8.
meter power 4.
Minus 4.
Minus?
4.
Sure. Okay. Tell this also in Newton per meter square. How much is 5000 root 30?
27,380.
20?
27386.12.
27386
Newton per mm square.
Is this correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now L, what should I consider?
4.
How much should L be?
Column length.
Yeah, correct. Column length. Should I consider the entire 4 meters?
No, sir.
Till the end of
Effective
the
length.
column.
Correct. What is the effective length of the column?
Since both is fixed L by 2.
Ashton complicate madad beda. What simply looking at this, how much should it be? From
Minus
both?
beam depth.
Yeah,
4
minus
minus
not the yeah,
half of the half
correct.
of the beam depth.
Correct. 4 minus half beam depth. How much is that?
Three point eight
0.84.
3.84.
4.
How much is it? 0.32 by 2 is how much?
0.1.
151.
3.
This is correct. Okay.
8.4, sir.
This is fine.
Yes, sir.
3.84. Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, what do we do to find out frequency? K effective.
Effective stiffness.
First K, 12 into, you have the values, substitute. Into 8.21 into 10 raised to minus 4 divided by 3.84 cube. How much is this? Four seven.
4.7 into 10 power 6.
5.
Everyone got the same value?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, K effective will be what?
2 times K.
Twice.
Yeah, 2 times K because of 2 columns. How much is this? 9 point.
4.
4.
Okay. Next is what? Omega is equal to square root of K by M. Now what is mass equal to? So first there is 30 kilonewton that is there. 30 into 10 power 3 into what is the length? 6 meters. Okay. Plus the weight due to your beam. What is beam dimension? 0.23 into 0.32 into 6 into what is the density of concrete?
25.
25.
Correct. Okay, add these two. Whatever you get is in Newton. How much is this?
So what is the UDL, sir?
30 kilonewton per meter. There is a UDL on top.
Okay.
How much is it?
191040.
This is Newton. Okay, convert this to mass in kg. How much is it?
Kg. 19,474 kg.
19,000.
474 kgs.
Substitute these two now. How much is it?
22.08.
Correct. What will frequency be?
$3.55 hertz.
One to
Okay. Till here, you guys knew how to do it. Now, we'll have to consider the effect of infill. To consider the effect of infill, what should we do? We saw the formula in the last class. Okay, we'll need to use this. So first we need to find out the modulus of elasticity of masonry. Okay. So for modulus of elasticity of masonry, the formula that is given is 550 into compressive strength of your masonry. But this compressive strength of masonry is not directly given. What is given in the question? Go back to the question and read. They have given you the compressive strength of bricks given and compressive strength of mortars have given separately. Now using these two, we'll have to find out the compressive strength of masonry. For that, the formula is directly given. So Fm is equal to 0.433 into the compressive strength of brick to the power of 0.64 into compressive strength of mortar to the power of 0.36. Now, if you notice here, this 0.64 plus 0.36 will add up to 1. So basically, it means that your masonry that is there is made up of your brick and mortar. Combined total effect summation should be equal to 1. Okay. Now substitute the values there and tell me what the value is. FB is 9 MPa and F mortar is 15 MPa.
4.683.
9 MPa, 15 MPa. Substitute. How much is it?
4.683.
2.68.
383.
Is this correct? Everyone got the same value?
Yes, sir.
15.36. Okay. Next, once we've got the value for compressive strength of masonry, we can find out what the Young's modulus of masonry is. Do this. How much is it? 550 into 4.683.
2575.65.
How much?
2575.65 MPa.
This is correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, after you found out the Young's modulus, what do we need? We need the width of the diagonal strut to find out what the stiffness is going to be. Okay. Formula for width is this: WDS is equal to 0.175 into alpha to the power of minus 0.4 into LDS. Okay. Now here, this LDS is your effective length of the diagonal strut, and your alpha value we have to calculate using this formula. So alpha is given by h into 4th root of EM, thickness of the masonry, sine 2 theta, divided by 4 into the Young's modulus of the frame material, the modulus of the moment of inertia of the column, into height. Okay, now we'll start listing each of these things, whatever we know. First is what? EM. EM we just calculated. How much is it? 5.65 into 10 raised to 6 Newton per meter square. Try and get everything in Newton and meter terms. Okay. Yes. Thickness of the wall is how much?
0.23.
Okay. Next, we need the value of theta. How do we get the value of theta? So, two things you need to remember when we're calculating the values is only for the dimension of the wall. Okay, you cannot take the dimension of the beam and column together. So when we calculate this angle, we need to consider only these dimensions. Okay, so if we need this value of theta, calculate how much theta is. So let's call this L, let's call this H. I'll call this small l to avoid confusion. What is small l equal to?
6 minus 2 times of 350.
So it is 6 minus 2 times. What is the column thickness?
2 into 0.23.
350.
Okay. How much is this?
5.3.
This is correct. Next, height. Height is how much? 4 minus
2 minus
0.32. 3.68. Okay. Now you have the value for L and H. What is theta equal to?
tan inverse of 3.68 by 5.3. 34.77.
Theta is how much?
34.77 degree.
54 point.
34.773.
This is correct.
Yes, sir.
Everyone got the same value? Someone else confirm the value?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Next, we've got the value for theta. How much is it? 34.77. Let's write that here. 34.77 degrees. Next, what do we need? We need EF. What is EF? Young's modulus of the material of which the frame is made. So the frame is made of M30 grade concrete. What was the Young's modulus for M30 that we calculated?
2738.6.12.
Where is it? We just did this somewhere here, no? Yeah, 27386.12. 27386.12 into 10 raised to 6 Newton per meter square. Is this correct? Okay. Next, we need the moment of inertia of the column. So IC, that also we've calculated, PD cube by 12. How much is it? We calculated I somewhere, no?
8.21 into 10 point minus 2.
8.2 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter to the power of 4. Okay, next H. This H you need to remember is not the entire height by just the height of the masonry wall that is there. Okay, so H will be this much. How much is it? 3.68. 3.68 meters. Now that we know everything, can you substitute these values and get me the value for alpha H? Quickly do it.
5.8.
Someone else confirm. It's fourth root. Take time, do it properly. How much is it?
5.8.
Shubham Eshwantu.
Four point 187, sir.
1 point.
4.187.
4.187.
Okay. Is this the value?
Yes, sir.
Everyone got the same value?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now once we've got the value for WDS, can we go back and solve for this thing? 4.187 is.
No, sir, actually 5.8.
Ishto?
5.
How many of you got 4.187? Raise your hands. I mean, raise Allah. Tell yes.
Me,
So
yes,
formula
sir.
that
I
you
got.
so for H into H, ಎರಡ್ಸಲಿ H ಬರುತ್ತಾ?
ಇದು 4 ಇದು fourth root ಇದು.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ 5.8 ಬಂತು ನನಗೆ.
Even I got 4.187. I think this value is correct. This is correct. This is not H. This is fourth root. ನನ್ನ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹಾಳಾಗಿದೆ. This is fourth root of and the entire thing into H. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, after we've got alpha H value, Can you substitute alpha h in this and get me the value for WDS? So WDS, what else is needed now? 0.175 into alpha is 4.187 to the power of minus 0.4 into LDS. Now this length of diagonal strut, okay, it's from this corner to this corner. This corner to this corner. This is LDS. Okay, now you have the values for h and L. Use your Pythagoras theorem. So this will be equal to square root of h square plus L square. How much is that? H and L is 5.3. 5.3 square plus 3.68 square under the square root of answer 6.45.
Yes, sir.
6.45 meters. Okay, now come back, substitute the value for LDS here. 6.452. Okay, how much do you get WDS as?
0.6367.
4.17 to the power of minus 0.4. Yashpantu?
0.6367.
Correct. Okay. So what does this mean? What does this value mean? Instead of modeling a wall here, I can model a diagonal strut, okay, whose width is equal to 0.636 meters. Okay. If I consider the stiffness of that diagonal strut and add it to the stiffness of the columns and solve the problem, the result will be more or less similar to whatever would happen if I considered the effect of the wall. Clear? Once you've got WDS, how to find out the stiffness? What was the formula I gave last week? For an inclined member, how to find out stiffness? I gave some formula, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. E M by T divided by H by L.
1 second, please wait.
E by L sin square theta.
What was the formula? K is equal to A by L.
H by L into H by L square plus 3.
Correct? Was this the formula?
No, sir, no.
This was
Yes,
not the
sir.
formula. I think I gave this formula only. Okay, so here A.
Yes, sir.
A will be the area of cross section. Now, if you read the clause in the code book, it will tell you the width that we've got is the width, but the thickness will be same as the thickness of the wall that we've considered. Okay, so meaning to say, if I took the cross section of my diagonal strut, okay, this width is whatever we just calculated WDS. This thickness will still be the thickness of the wall, which in our case is 230 mm. Okay, so area of cross section will be 0.23 into 0.636 meter square. E, we just found out. What was the Young's modulus of masonry that we found out? EM 2575.65. 2575.65 into 10 raised to 6 Newton per meter square. The length that we just calculated, LDS, how much is it? 6.452 meters. And theta we've already calculated. How much was it? 34.77. Now substitute all these, okay, in this formula. Get me the value for K.
$39.57 into 10 to the power 6.
Okay. Someone else confirm, please.
$39.40.
39.40.
5, sir.
Into
10 to the power 6.
This is fine. Okay, now what do we do with this stiffness? Let me call this K due to masonry. Okay, we already had the K due to the columns. What was the value that we got? 9.4 into 10 raised to 6. Okay, so to that value, your K effective or your K final due to effect of infill is equal to, how much was it there? 9.4 into 10 raised to 6. Plus, correct? How much is this?
48.97.
Okay, now use this stiffness value to find out omega. The mass will remain the same. Okay, what was the mass we used? 48.9 into 10 raised to 6 divided by the mass that we used there was 19474 kg. How much is this?
50.14.
50 point, okay. Omega is 50.14 radians per second. What is frequency?
7.97.
7.98.
7.98 hertz. Your time period will be 1 by answer
0.125.
This is fine. Now, compare these three values, okay, with the values that we got there. How much was the value that we got there? 21.97, 3.49. Okay. So look at the frequency. The time period of the structure is decreased, correct?
Yes, sir.
So this is a typical problem. Here I made it very simple. I have only given you one portal frame. But imagine doing this for a bigger building. But these values are not really accurate. I'll tell you why. Because in a real building, what we'll do is this UDL that we've considered, no? Okay, that will be directly the wall load. So in this case, just to solve a problem, I gave some dummy load there. But in reality, if you take the actual value of the mass of the wall, the actual stiffness of the wall, the percentage difference might not be so much. Like in this case, the stiffness value, here it is 40, how much is it? 39.4, and without the wall, it was 9.4. The difference might not actually be that high. Okay, but the procedure will remain the same. Understood the procedure? What we have to do?
Yes, sir.
For your second interviews, you can expect one question like this. Okay, I'll give you like a 2-story portal frame or something, a 2 degree of freedom system. I'll ask you to determine the frequencies with and without the effect of infill. Only few places you'll have to be careful when you're solving, substituting the values there. Like the H value that you consider is not the height of the column, but the height of the infill inside the column. Okay, and the LDS that we calculate is again from the inner corners of the beam column junction to the inner columns at the bottom. Okay, if you made sure you've taken the correct values, whatever values you end up with in the end will be correct. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Is everyone understood this problem?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts? Yes, Prabhu.
Sir, after considering stiffness of the wall,
Okay.
the time period has decreased. So the seismic forces will be higher, no, for that structure.
Seismic forces will be.
Higher.
Let us look at the SA by G chart once. 1 second. Okay. It will be. it will be. But that is also true even in other case. No, like for example, you remember the torsion problem that we were solving, where,
Yes.
say for example, in x direction, if there was 400 kilonewtons acting, whichever wall had more stiffness would attract more force, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the logic is same. Anything that is more stiffer will attract more force.
Okay.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that it is more susceptible to an earthquake. I mean, I don't know how to put this. Higher seismic force does not necessarily mean that it is more prone to damage, provided you've done the design properly. Okay, next. Anything else?
Sir, how should we see the significance of this natural time period, sir, with and without infill wall?
With infill, like I said, it is more stiffer. Since it is more stiffer, the frequency of vibration is reduced. There is, how do I tell this? There is no significance with and without infill. It's just that if you consider infill, the results that you get in the end will be more accurate. It's like when you model buildings on ETAP, STAD, wherever you want, you only consider the mass of the walls without actually considering their stiffness property. So the results that you get during analysis might not really be accurate. So instead of modeling the entire wall and wasting time, if you at least model one diagonal strut, the results that you get will be more accurate as opposed to without considering the walls.
So if we draw walls as a diagonal struts, then it will be like we have to define the wall loads manually, no, sir?
Wall loads, yes, but stiffness you're not taking care, no? Like when you model just a bare frame structure and you apply these wall loads as UDL on top of beams, you are accounting only for the mass of the walls, but you're not accounting for the stiffness of the walls. So when you model these diagonal struts, the mass part you're doing anyways as it is, as UDL on top of the beam. But now you're accounting for the stiffness aspect for it. So it is not.
But it will also increase the weight, no, sir, due to that diagonal strut self weight.
Understood. So correct. I understood. Maybe that percentage mass you can reduce when you apply on top of UDL.
Okay, sir.
I've never really thought about this, but yeah, amazing point. Like you mean to say, when you're already applying UDL on top of beams, why should we? Understood. So whatever is this mass of the strut, maybe you can deduct it and then apply it on top of your wall. Or maybe you can go to property modifier and change this to be a massless member, but I'm not sure if it will give an error or not. As in just, will it give an error?
No, we haven't tried it, sir.
Like,
And is there any provision to make consider only stiffness, sir,
Yeah,
as a diagonal strut?
yeah, as in technically it is there. For example, all the dummy beams that you model, no, in case of say concealed beams in case of slabs, or beams that you model on top of your shear walls in case there is application of load point of view, all those still offer your what you call stiffness or whatever the other properties are, except for adding mass. So maybe you can model it as a regular thing, but don't add the mass of that particular beam to your mass source. Or let me think of this and get back to you. But very good point. Okay, next, anything else? If there's nothing else, I think we'll stop. With this, we officially complete 4 units. Okay. Initially I thought let's not do a problem on this, but I thought it is important. I'll share this notes also after the class is over. Is everyone clear with what we did today?
Yes.
Okay. Let's stop sharing
Yes,
the
sir.
screen.